And also joining us this afternoon, we've got our second guest. We're talking to the United Nations Philippines Resident Coordinator, Arnauld Peral. Sir, welcome to Storycon. Good to have you on the set.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me this afternoon.
We're talking to you because the country has just had to suffer its latest disaster, which is the Super Typhoon Uwan. And I wanted to kick off by asking you what your assessment of the damage and losses are, and whether you've had a chance to assess what it's been like.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, indeed, I'm still new in the Philippines. I arrived only in February, but I've been really impressed by two things. The number one, the series of disasters, one after the other. It never stops. It's been the earthquakes and typhoons and now super typhoons. It's really impressive. And the second thing that is
it is number one on the World Risk Index.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely. Yeah. And now that the countries are discussing climate change in Berlin, I think it's really worth looking at this from the angle of the Philippines and how it's impacting more and more the frequency, the impact, the level of disaster. But the second part is also the capacity of preparedness and response that I've seen here in the Philippines. And we have teams on the ground, and we didn't have, as United Nations, a request from the government to have a flash appeal or to reach out to some donors, but our support was welcome. What we could deploy here at the national level was welcome. So we have some mechanism in place in coordination with the government, with civil society, with the private sector to activate some actions. But what has been, I think, the lesson learned of the last few days is how the declaration of the state of calamity after the first typhoon really helped prepare better for the super typhoon. It has unlocked some important resources and I've been really impressed by the number of people who got evacuated before. 1.5 million people almost, right. Like 13 of the 18 region. I mean, it's really impressive how the level of, it's all about the the prevention, preparedness, preposition, preemptive action, and this is really something that is impressing us as the United Nations. And we have our own also mechanisms of anticipatory action, as we call it. And because we had the prospect of Super Typhoon Uwan, we could unlock some resources, $6 million, for anticipatory action, which means being able to help preposition some food kits to help communities to prepare better. Fishermen to move their boats with cash transfers. So it was a lot of small actions, but important actions also at a certain scale to complement all the enormous efforts and the leadership of the government and local government. So definitely the level of preparation, but obviously that's one disaster and one loss of life is way too much.
Right.
We would like to convey our sympathies and regrets to the families.
Right.
It's very hard to avoid all impact, but at least we saw in the last typhoon a lot of preparation and a lot of preventive action.
Mr. Peral, you've mentioned the passage by our country of the Anticipatory Action Law, that's Republic Act 2287. I wasn't even aware that we passed that kind of law.
Me
it was
neither.
passed in September. Can you tell us more about it? Why is it so important? And you've said that we are the first country to pass such legislation. Why is it so important?
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think it's really a landmark, and not only for the Philippines, but also for the rest of the world. Because countries declare a state of emergency after a disaster. And some resources are made available for local government to take action and to react really quickly. But when you can have this kind of instrument that will allow for the declaration of emergency and state of calamity up to 72 hours before, it will help prepare better. It will help evacuate more people and save more assets. Create more awareness and during these and preposition some some food kits and some health supports before the big event happened, like a typhoon. It's something that the humanitarian community, NGOs, INGOs, community leaders, local government have been advocating for quite some time, and we really think that as United Nations that it has to be celebrated, and we congratulate obviously President Marcos and his government for approving it and putting it forward, and the Congress men and women who made that possible. Now we are really looking forward to see it in action and learn from it. But for sure, it's going to help save lives, many lives, and help recover better and faster. This is obviously what everybody is expecting here in the Philippines, but also globally when we see with the impact of climate change, so the level of disaster becoming stronger and faster and more losses. So we need to get better at anticipatory action and prevention.
Go ahead, Emmy. I think she has a follow-up.
Yeah, but Mr. Peral, I think one of the criticisms in the previous week is that we weren't prepared enough for Typhoon Tino, actually.
This is the typhoon before this last super typhoon.
Before Uwan, yes.
Yeah.
Before
Uwan.
For Uwan, we were very prepared, but I think it was in reaction to what happened to Typhoon Tino, where we had 224 at least people dead, and about 100 more still missing up to now.
Yes, indeed, and that's why it's important to have this kind of law in place, so things can happen before the typhoon hits. Once it's already there, then it's response, and it takes time. Sometimes it's hard to get there because the access is complicated because of the floods or security issues, or the roads are destroyed, and so on and so forth. So obviously it's harder, and the more you can do. And the window of the 72 hours before is extremely important, but you need to have the means and the resources to actually do something. When it hits, it's already too late. But every typhoon, every disaster is different. There are many elements that makes level of destruction bigger than anticipated. It's really sad what had happened actually indeed in Cebu, when we see the number of dead and still people are missing, and level of destruction and displaced people. It takes time to recover, and it's really hard. So globally and here also nationally, I think it has to be a whole of society approach with the private sector, the community, local government, national government, whole of society approach to work better on this prevention and preparedness, definitely.
But from to follow up on Emmy's question, and from an outsider's perspective, why do you think the country was less prepared for the previous typhoon when all of these elements were already in place, right? The law, as you said, was passed in September?
Yes.
In September. Was it just that we misread just how bad that typhoon was going to be, Typhoon Tino was going to be, or because it's, not in the biggest island, not in Luzon. So it was in the region that was most hit was the Visayas. Right?
Yeah, I think it's more a question of the sequence of things. The first typhoon was not classified as super typhoon, number one. And number two, because of the first one and the level of destruction, then the current laws allowed the president to declare a state of emergency because there was already a disaster. The law that was passed is not yet in implementation. It needs a decrease of applications, as I understand, the national laws. So for now, there is no instrument to use that as preemptive. And that would be the biggest innovation with this law. For once the decrease of application and everything is activated, it will allow for the years to come to be a lot more efficient in declaring emergency before it hits, and be able to activate better protocols and actions and investments. So that's what it makes it so unique, because the Philippines will be the first one to test this kind of approach.
Yeah.
It will have to be careful looked and analyzed, but for sure it will be a landmark and a reference for the rest of the world. We are already using this kind of approach in the mechanism that we have in the UN for humanitarian action, the anticipatory action mechanism that we have. And because it was a super typhoon, the second one,
Yeah.
We could activate this $6 million that we put on the table to support the government and local government, because it triggered really, because it was a super typhoon, we could activate this before the typhoon arrives.
We're looking at the, before this chart,
numbers,
we were flashing the numbers for Typhoon Tino, which is about 4.2
Uwan.
million people affected.
Yeah.
This one's Uwan. This one's Tino.
This one is
Calamity, Tino.
Yeah.
4.2 million affected. 377,000 preemptively evacuated, and about 200 this one says 213, but that's as of November 6th. It's since gone up to over 220. And then before that, the chart before that was the statistics on Typhoon Uwan, internationally named Fong Wong. So that was 2.4 million people affected, and 1.5 million people preemptively evacuated. So 377,000 people preemptively evacuated for Tino, 1.5 million people preemptively evacuated for Uwan. That's the difference there, and that's why we're seeing far fewer deaths for Uwan. Moving forward, so you're saying that all of the mechanisms are already in place. For the next disaster, what would the UN like to see in terms of cooperation with the government? And, what kind of working relationship would you like to see there?
Yeah, I think the working relationship is already there. We come a long way of structuring also the protocols and supporting and working together with civil defense, with the Department of Health, Education, the SWD, the LGUs, the local networks. I think we come in complement, and we really try as much as possible to coordinate everything. We want to avoid confusion and duplications of effort.
Yeah.
It has to be very well coordinated, and the fact that the government has this cluster approach where we all can cooperate and collaborate and exchange information and do joint assessments, it's really the key. One thing that impresses me a lot in the Philippines also, and we could see that in the last two disasters, and the second one in particular, is the efficiency in communication. The Pagasa system has been very good in informing in advance, sharing information.
Yeah, their forecasting has been pretty good.
Very good, very good. So people would know what's happening, the level of intensity, the trajectory of the typhoon, and we could all monitor that, and everybody could monitor that. Access to information is absolutely fundamental in this kind of situation, and I think it worked well also in that case. So, I would say just keep the good work, but maybe for the next time, as soon as possible, if we could have this law and have the possibility to use it, I think could be a game changer for the next big disasters and these big typhoons that will hit the Philippines.
Yeah.
Mr. Peral, is
Yes,
the
please.
UN considering new initiatives in partnership with our government by way of disaster mitigation, improving preparedness, resilience, sustainable responses? I'm asking in the light of what I'm sure you've been following the flood control scandal,
Yes.
because that's what people think. Our flood control mitigation, it's non-existent. Seeing what happened in Tino, is the UN considering any new projects in light of what's happening now, in light of all these investigations?
Yeah, but for now we don't have anything specific related to that, but we remain open to support all the efforts to make sure that the investments go where they should go, where the flood controls could happen. These are fundamentals investments that are needed, and I think it was really good to open up also discussions and to have more transparency about those investments, who were responsible, the locations and things. This social control, I think, was a great initiative to put there. And obviously, it opened some sort of a Pandora's box, because it was made evident that some things were not done, and now some people are facing the justice. So I think it's a space that we all have to watch and have again, a whole of society approach to make sure that we all control that things really happen in time. So the next time the works will be there, it might not prevent everything, but at least it will reduce the impact. So it's absolutely fundamental to continue those efforts of transparency, accountability, control, and reduction of deviation of resources and things like that, or delays. Sometimes it's just also difficulties to implement. Again, it has to be a joint effort between local level, local government, LGUs, national government, and the society and the communities also to hold everybody accountable at the end of the day, for these things to happen.
In the private sector too, don't forget.
In the private sector, obviously.
Just very quickly, one last question. The $6 million budget that you mentioned for anticipatory action this time around, is that always going to be the figure, or how does it work? How do you compute what amount needs to be allocated for the next disaster?
It was a pre-positioning of resources, so that's the good thing. We didn't have to go through lengthy requests to get this money. It was already pre-approved. So the fact that there was a super typhoon coming, we could unlock those resources and made them available to 6 UN organizations, IOM, WFP, FAO, UNFPA, UNICEF, and so on and so forth. So they could immediately activate through their networks, through the communities, the private sector, the farmers, the families, and the local government to support and activate very, very, very quickly. So this pre-positioning of the 6 million made a difference. And we are also testing this new approach and learning from it. There was some additional resources that some organizations like WFP, FAO, and others also put to the table. But again, because there was no national request for fundraising or something like that, or a donor conference, then we had to use existing resources. And we will continue to offer everything that we have available to support the country.
$6 million is about 3.6 billion pesos, I guess. Is it always going to be this amount, or it's going to change every time?
I mean, it depends also on the request and the situation. This was anticipated for 3 regions. But we recalibrated also with the government. We established which criteria to activate those resources. So in that case, it was the threshold was pretty high. We cannot use it for whatever reason. But if there is a super typhoon, something that could be extremely destructive, then we can activate it. So those will be hopefully replenished, and we will have more resources available for any new things.
There are very specific criteria that you go through. It's not a number that's plucked out of thin air.
No.
Okay, we will leave the conversation there. Thank you so much for joining us today. That was UN Philippines Resident Coordinator, Mr. Arnauld Peral.
Thank you, Mr. Peral.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me today.